A lot less turmoil on social media than we've seen in previous splits. Maybe some more outspoken points from the players, as Dyrus recently and things like that, but things that can easily be fixed up as opposed to recent troubles. Now into picks and bans here for Cloud9 versus Team Solomid. Will TSM be able to keep a bit of a win streak going here? This will make it number 3.
So Cloud9 forced to ban away the Lulu. Team Solo has been running that so much for Dyrus. I agree with the Nidalee ban from Cloud9 as well, only because Santorin has been crushing people with Nidalee when he's gotten the chance.
Yesterday was insane.
Play it.
Those spears.
Yeah. 5-0-8 yesterday.
Play all around. So Shazwani gets taken out as well. Some pretty high tier junglers getting banned out. You see a Rek'Sai coming in this game.
Interesting. Cloud9 banned Zed from themselves.
Yeah, I was just as baffled as you.
I mean, that's the mind game people were talking about. And part of the reason that Bjergsen showed his Urgot yesterday was to hopefully draw a Zed ban from Cloud9, because if Hai doesn't play Urgot, and Urgot is a counter matchup to Zed, then Bjergsen can just play Zed, because Cloud9's afraid to pick it. Therefore, they don't want to let Bjergsen play Zed. They ban their own Zed from Hai.
One of his best champions. The mind games are real. They seem to be calculated from both sides here. As Cloud9 ends with that one. And Morgana is the last one for Team Solomid here to stop anything from LemonNation. See what they decide. Yep. We have seen a Zingy towards the Zac quite a few times. Maokai's a good pickup for Cloud9 to start with, and just getting a nice safe tank.
I feel like there's nothing more reliable than Cloud9 will first pick Maokai if it is up. That is a true fact of the world. They've played so much Maokai. 4 balls this split. They just love the teleport flank initiations too much, and it's a calling card of Cloud9. When they can find the team fights they want to find, they generally win.
And you usually get a strong lane out of balls. He's never behind or just consistent, so he's always going to be able to offer something to the fight. Rek'Sai, there is the Rek'Sai with the Nidalee and Sejuani bans out as we were looking for, but Graves picked up here for Wildturtle.
Yeah.
Interesting, so soon as well.
Yeah, I think they're just trying to be non-committal with their picks here.
Right.
They also don't want Sneaky to pick it if I had to guess. The Rek'Sai is interesting. There are 2 jungle bans targeted. Rek'Sai has not been doing well recently in the Juggernaut, no, sorry, the Cinderhulk meta here.
No yawning. Okay, maybe one.
Everyone at home is now going to yawn within the next 15 seconds. I'm sorry.
Well, Santorin likes to be pretty physical, so maybe he'll get out and about quite soon. Nautilus, again, what else would it be? This will be play number 4 in a row for LemonNation coming out.
Oh, yeah. I feel like Nautilus may be the strongest support in the game right now in a competitive sense. His CC and level 6 laning is so good. 3 picks in a row for LemonNation on that.
Hi, back to Lissandra.
And look at the crowd control they've already built into this team.
Yep.
They can do strictly damage if they want from the jungle and AD carry. Probably something like Vi and Lucian if I had to guess their last 2 picks, but we shall see.
Very slow champion.
TSM is still free to do whatever they want.
Yep.
They're a little bit bamboozled here by all the crowd control that Cloud9 has brought, and they want to make sure they can either escape that or match that in team fights. And this is going to be a very CC-focused game.
Yeah.
Maybe that Cho'Gath
do it.
may.
All right, so they're going to lock in the Kennen and the Cho'Gath. A bit of a tank, at least one now for Team Solomid to the Maokai Nautilus coming in. Remember, Nautilus won't be huge because that's going to be LemonNation's on support, but still,
probably. They can still flex
true.
that if they want. It's just what we would expect.
The Lissandra's a good pickup for Hai. He's seen some good results on that, but does not get to play it very often.
Yeah.
Sneaky LemonNation now to round out AD carry.
Here.
Lucian's still up for Sneak.
Cloud9 can't build a super squishy jungler anymore only because of the Kennen Cho'Gath. They try and dive in on that. They instantly get stunned and eaten. It's a tricky world to be picking into these team comps. There's a lot. With all the lockdown that these guys are bringing, it's almost forcing you to bring tankier champions. I wonder if Cloud9 will still pick squishy and then hope to outplay it.
Well, whatever.
Lucian is expected. I'm just wondering what
Lucian.
Meteos' pick is, and it is going to be the Vi. Okay.
Lucian Vi. Gonna be that lock-in coming for Cloud9. The good thing is it's all on Charlie, so it's okay. Right? All the picks finalized by Charlie for that team. We'll see what Lustboy decides to lock in here. He can still go Lulu, guys. Lulu's open. Why would he not? Oh, Lulu's banned. You're right. I literally looked right at it and was like, yeah, it's gonna be Lulu. They're not even chanting Soraka for this one. They're chanting Do It.
Janna, Morgana. Of course. Who would not play to the crowd?
The turtle smile. It doesn't even faze him. He's like, ha ha. Ah, yes, I'm Lustboy.
Turtle loves it.
Turtle loves it to every extent.
Back to Bard. Only 10 seconds to go here.
Such an emotional roller coaster.
More CC.
More
Let's go.
CC. Why not?
Tanks and crowd control.
Ooh, the boo.
These teams are getting ready to fight.
I'm ready for it. Cloud9, we know them to be a very big fighting team. I feel like Team Solomid's a little bit more calculated in that adjustment.
Seriously, these
and how to figure out the fights, but it looks
these
like
teams are going hard.
In from both sides this time.
Oh my god. The matchup here. There are 8 champions that have strong crowd control in this game. That is incredible. Lissandra, Maokai, and Nautilus, if you're just looking at the Cloud9 side, are 3 of the highest crowd control for the role you can pick in the game.
Yeah.
Vi as well, as far as single target lockdown, is huge. And you go over on TSM, and it's kind of similar, just not quite as much. This is going to be a very explosive team fight phase.
Well, I think it's safe to say if one person gets caught, they are going to die this game. There's really nothing else to save you in terms of that Lulu ultimate or extra stats to come in. Whoa. No, Lemon, you can't have that.
Just make Loco stand there. Sure, man.
Number 1 versus number 3 right now in the NA LCS standing. So definitely going to be a good match, especially from what we just saw.
Yeah, the matchup going back in history, it's been dominated by Cloud9.
Yep.
But as of late, it looks like TSM has the upper hand.
We'll see as the players head into the game. Head over to Twitter and start voting with hashtag C9win or hashtag TSMwin to @LOL Esports. We'll be counting your votes throughout the match as we head into this one. I'm sure TSM's glad they're not seeing high on Teemo in the mid lane. Always a bit of a nightmare that they live with in this matchup.
Yeah, big chance coming into this one. And honestly, Riv, I need to be watching this Dyrus game because he's been getting camped so much in the early game. It's just how will he be able to farm? Will TSM help him out? Those are all things I'm looking to see here.
Will he play League of Legends today? Balls also shared his thoughts on why his counterpart receives so much early game attention.
I definitely think that Dyrus gets camped because of the way TSM plays. Like, they put a lot of power in their mid and bot side, and Dyrus plays really aggressive top, so whenever he dies, he doesn't lose that much for the team. Like, he's just a sacrifice. He still gets farm while dying, and they just need him to become big later still.
I love that point by Balls as well about Dyrus being very aggressive despite not getting help. It often leads to Dyrus' death, but it keeps his gold per minute up, and it keeps his CS up, which overall increases the pressure TSM has on the map, because think of it in the larger picture. TSM wants their mid laner and AD carry to do well, and they consistently gank for that lane. So the way you would want to counter that as a team is to move your own jungler there and try and counter gank. But if Dyrus is constantly putting himself in positions to get ganked, and it almost forces the other jungler to gank Dyrus, which means that TSM has 4v3 advantages on other parts of the map almost permanently in games where Dyrus is getting killed. It's a really hard strategy to play against because you want to punish Dyrus, but you also want to counter TSM strategy, and you can't do both at once.
It's the mind games. It seems like Dyrus doesn't like it, but he knows what he's doing. They're like, just keep playing aggressive. They'll want to focus you, and we're good to go. Nobody's figured it out yet. We'll see what happens here coming into this. Lustboy getting his roam on. He's got his moving sandals.
So close.
Looks like he's just going to get a little bit of vision out of that. The ping goes down. He knows they're going to be representing top lane. LemonNation and Sneaky. So we get another matched up game. Ooh. Very interesting.
Cloud9 has a pretty big edge in this lane. actually. Wildturtle was sitting there to freeze while Cloud9 was getting the Gromp. No early jungle camp taken by TSM, and only 3 minions lost in the lane, meaning Cloud9 hits level 2 substantially earlier. And we all know about Lucian and his level 2 power spike.
There it is already. 5-2 in CS, which means they haven't even gotten the majority of that first wave in. It's going to be tough stuff here for TSM, and I think they will have to adjust this.
They're going to take a jungle camp now. Why not just take one later? Because they're going to have to wait for the minion wave to hit the turret anyway. That's actually not that bad.
I mean, they get themselves out of lane. You're not in danger of getting level 2'd here. It may take a little bit longer, and you have to play safe and chug the pots for now, but still frozen up. Looks like they'll be able to get the siege wave in. See how Bjergsen does now with High, being able to spit out Qs a little bit more than Urgot was.
Yeah.
He's not having his fun.
Silence is still a really hard thing for Lissandra to deal with. It's hard for most champs to deal with, honestly, not being able to cast spells for 2.5 seconds.
Yeah. Especially when you haven't played with it for a while.
And we heard this in the past, actually, from Aframu when we asked him why he picked Blitzcrank. And he says there's actually not many champions that have silences anymore. Caston lost his, LeBlanc lost hers. Yet, there's still a 2.5 second AoE silence on Cho'Gath, the best silence in the game.
Imagine if you actually just played Blitz and Cho'Gath. That person that gets pulled, they can't speak for days. That's pain.
Yeah.
Silent pain. Not too much action in this coming from the junglers just yet. We did see that Santorin had to take early route back down to the bottom side of his jungle as he lost out on the Krugs to the top lane. But we have seen Wildturtle and Lustboy staying safe. Eyes now on Dyrus and Balls. Looks like it's going to stay safe here as well. The lane matchups usually make things slower in the early game, but I think Cloud9 can really get an advantage here. Usually they pull out of the laning phase pretty strong.
Yeah, and no lane swap here. We'll factor into this. Balls has historically beaten Dyrus in 1v1 matchups.
Right.
Dyrus used to give, and that was in Cloud9 glory days, right? When Meteos could just gank that lane over and over.
Mm-hmm.
But TSM has been playing a whole split of knowing how to get the other guys rolling. Makes this a very fascinating game. It's actually our first game of the NALCS, was Cloud9 versus TSM. So it's been a really long time since we've seen these teams match up.
They've had a lot of homework and a lot of time to do that homework. Now they're getting pushed into the turret. Sneaky should be able to clear these up. TSM has done a good job at keeping themselves up in CS as well as they went back to get the Krugs.
Yeah, so cool. Like, that was a great call by TSM when they realized they'd missed the early camp to go and take it later. It's not something that you expect a dual lane to do, but the team just rolled with it. Now they're totally fine in that 2v2 lane.
Just a ward coming out high, almost actually seeing Santorin on that timing, but he does not get anything. Looks like he's timing the Krugs camp in the top lane. He takes that, and he may just hover up there as Meteos, also on the top side of the map here.
Yeah, Meteos, the entire jungle clear. He is wanting to power farm as much as possible, just waiting on the respawn of that Gromp. He is power farming on Vi, trying to hit level 6 as quickly as possible.
It's really what we've been seeing him do. He did it on Nidalee too, even though easier, but loves his farm.
Meteos has been trying to be as gold efficient as possible in the jungle. Santorin trying to get a gank.
Zooms right in, the tunnel goes in, LemonNation, big tank. Can he go down here? No, he does not, and Sneaky stays in the front of the fight to trade back a good bit of damage.
Yeah, that was a nice chain there by TSM. Leona into the Rek'Sai knockup.
C9 had to blow a lot.
Yeah, 3 summoners burned for just the ignite of TSM. If they were to do a return gank and then flash to get the crowd control to begin with, even if Cloud9 is playing safe, there's a chance they get that return kill. It'll be a question of whether they can sacrifice that gank time for the farming that Meteos is getting.
Yeah, well, it allows him to do even more on TSM's side of the jungle now. Seeing Santorin top, he says, your Gromp is mine, and he might even go deeper here. See if he gets the tunnel as well.
Full jungle right here from Meteos.
Looks like he did actually take that tunnel out, so giving himself up in vision, but he knows he has enough time to get out.
Good counter jungling there.
Yeah, it is.
By Meteos.
Smooth
Level 6
moving.
already. The same time as his solo lanes. On Vi. He could either go for a gank early on here or just try and solo an objective. Let's see if Dyrus, he would need Dyrus to E aggressively here.
Yes.
I think. Or he might just go straight for it. Oh,
There's
nice chain!
one. That's going to be the, oh man! I was going to say it's tough because 6 is up, but that front end damage, goodbye. Woo!
I mean, that's the combo.
That is a
Vault Breaker
that's a
is the
big
majority
combo.
of Vi's damage in team fights, but sometimes it's hard to land.
Didn't even have the ult.
Yeah, 2 flashes burned for that kill, but it gives Dyrus no way of countering that fight. Lockdown, rooted for the Vault Breaker. Boom. Now he's got his Warrior Enchantment 7 minutes into the game.
See what happens as well with intentions towards Dragon. It doesn't look like any of the AD, or rather duo lanes, are switching back to bottom yet. Still going to be top lane priority. And Dyrus will not blow teleport to get back to lane here, so he keeps that up, and Balls is just about to have his back. 70 to 58 here. Bjergsen doing a great job.
I do have to mention there, that success gank by Cloud9 can actually be a bit of a TSM misplay. Meteos smited the Wolves of TSM, which puts the Spirit in their jungle, and Santorin was seen by that. What he didn't relay was that means Vi is on that side of the map and could potentially be waiting bottom.
Yeah.
So there was a fairly telegraphed idea of where Meteos would be, and Dyrus was still pushed up in lane regardless with all the chain crowd control.
Still playing so aggressive,
Yeah.
still forward, trying to get kills, and he's the focus. Kind of playing out as we expected here for him. He keeps it safe. LCS is 61 to 59, and he's still getting his gold. Tried and true to his top lane. Now on the bottom side. Remember that ult is still up for Meteos. It was not used last time. Dyrus still has flash. He also feels like it's a little too quiet in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't return gank Dyrus because that was a gank that killed without burning a summoner spell. Plus Cloud9 doesn't have the summoner spells this time. You almost want to go into other lanes.
You saw Dyrus play safe. His Balls backed up on that one, changing his play style a bit. So it would be even harder. Trailblazer finished up by Meteos. Santorin looking to get himself finished up quite soon here.
Yeah, Santorin's spending a lot of time in this top lane.
Such aggressive positioning.
Oh,
with
this
the
sweeper
boards.
misses the ward. That is going to be an even bigger time waster here. How can Cloud9 play around this one to not get ganked? Lemon, he was in a position to get ganked anyway!
Sneaky could try to get out. The summoners are down from the last one, and the anchor toss doesn't hit. I guess they just didn't take into consideration that it could have been that quick.
They knew his flash was down, and the trading of crowd control was going to be too easy for TSM right there. Oh man, misplay there by LemonNation, and TSM trusting their ability to lock down a target. Good kill there, good ult by Lustboy, and nice flash followed by Santorin, but a mistake by LemonNation.
Yep, picked up Dragon for it with a little bit of that pressure top, even though Void Rush was used by Santorin to get back down towards bottom. So
It's that balance of trying to keep someone interested and not tipping off that you have seen them with the ward. So Lemon was hoping he could escape there, and they were trying to buy time for Meteos to take the Dragon, but they just a little bit too dangerous. Should have been back in the turret.
63% of the vote. Ooh, it's moving. Cloud9 coming back strong. Keep the votes coming. Teams love to know that you care. See how much the teams can put now forth through this game. 1-1 only in kills. We don't expect this one to really catapult off in anybody's favor soon. It's going to be very back and forth here in the early part of the game, especially since we have now, looks like to be Rod of Ages charging up in the mid laners. They're going to have a bit of a lull in power.
Yeah. Definite wait time for Cloud9. Really a bunch of items that will turn on later. Avarice Blade, Double Roa on that team. Meteos still just trying to farm. He's going damage Vi once again, which will be cool to see.
I also wholly agree with Freak yesterday in that Ryla is just not the item I like to see on Kennen. You want that Zanya's. It's so quick.
He might be going Abyssal, actually, against double AP.
Could do that as well.
Right here. That's another pretty good item rush on Kennen. Giving you some of the defensive characteristics of Rylai's while still being an aggressive buy.
Always scary to prevent that Zanya's. We'll see if it works out for him, though. The team fight, if it's big enough, really is just going to shut one team or the other down, so it may not have time to even Zanya's in it. Meteos keeping up on crab control here as he re-enters the jungle of Team Solomid. Looks like he's got a welcome mat on that side of the jungle for himself here. But Dyrus throwing down a ward right quick. Actually sees Meteos trying to get in for a sneaky
TSM
gank.
very clearly trying to shut down
Sneaky!
Get Wildturtle going here. They know his flash is down.
It's going to be tough. Oh, no way! He just dodged everything. He can actually stay alive here. The Ignite's ticking, but so is his potion. Sneaky stays alive. LemonNation's going to be there as well. Whoa. Holy fancy feet. You got to be kidding me.
Everybody burning summoners right there. Balls' teleport does not come in. I believe Dyrus would have had to stop that one, but man, TSM does not get a kill off of some sick jukes there by Sneaky's Lucian. Wow.
Damn.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Great plays to keep things tight within this game right now. The Void Rush comes out. Not going to be a play, just a farm alarm for Santorin. We need to quiet down for a second here. That was intense.
Yeah, Dyrus did in fact cancel the ball's teleport there. Thank goodness,
Good
because
catch.
with the depth of that TSM dive,
Yeah.
they would have been done for if Maokai made it back into that one. Amazing that Sneaky and LemonNation could stay alive through all of that gank pressure.
That's one of those ones where the bait worked out, where they knew and they tried to bait it out to the last second, and then it worked. Meteos Raptor buff clearing out some deep vision here. The team Solomid's trying to get in. As some of these ganks aren't working, they're going for some different paths, and may not even get to steal on this red here. Oh,
yeah, well,
he should get it.
Meteos
Yep.
is there, but the problem is, High is called MIA in the mid lane, so Meteos would run into two people and probably die.
You saw him turn around there, yeah.
That was actually the opposite of what you would normally see of Santorin helping Bjergsen. That was Bjergsen helping Santorin.
Lustboy not trying for anything, just getting wards down. But again, LemonNation taking up aggressive positioning in the brush. Lustboy doing it previously, but only when they have the help of Santorin, really changing their playstyle up in lane. And Sneaky and LemonNation, if pretty much with wards or not, have been able to calculate
It's
most of those.
amazing they're up in farm.
Yeah.
With all the attention Santorin has given that lane. Bjergsen is just straight up winning the mid lane as Cho'Gath against Lissandra.
Seems to be a tough lane to win overall when you're playing against the Cho'Gath.
Yeah. Cho'Gath
So much brute
super
force.
strong laner, especially with Rod of Ages. A lot of times you'll see Morellonomicon because he already has such good sustain.
Yeah.
You just double that up when you do Rod of Ages. It's nearly 3,000 health that Bjergsen has already. You're not bursting that as Lissandra.
6 stacks. That goes down if you're eating the minions, so you can get them even faster.
Yeah, that's absurd.
It takes so long for High rather to even get hits onto Bjergsen. Back to the
I want to talk about Meteos again, though. He's gone for the upgraded yellow trinket once again. It's what he has been doing. Instead of going sweeper, he tries to rush level 9 as quickly as possible so he can upgrade. And he's gone full farm mode up until this point. Now he's trying to get ganks, but it's very clear this game the junglers are not interested in interacting with each other. Santorin going for the 80 carries, Meteos going for the tank.
Once again, towards the top side. If this is not a telegraph that they want your turret, I don't know what is.
Lustboy is behind the turret. I wonder if he has backup.
So with
The
that
answer is-
Praise Seeker coming out as well, they kind of know, but there's not much that TSM can do with it, with the wave being pushed towards the river area. Looks like they just kind of hold out.
Well, meanwhile, while they're holding out, Meteos and Maokai have such pressure down in that bottom lane. Dyrus just had to back away. He knew what happened last time, and there's only been more damage on Meteos since then.
If it doesn't work with a few people, bring more people.
Just continue to bring people.
They had enough pressure on that side of the jungle that Sneaky and LemonNation know they can't approach the turret. Yeah, Wildturtle's finally able to get that with an entire cavalry just below him.
Honestly, the same play on both sides, but because Cloud9 initiated earlier, they might get the mid lane turret off this as well. TSM brought too many people. Therefore, they were missing them in the mid lane.
Too many cooks. Too many cooks, Jatt.
Far too many cooks.
16 on the clock. Finally, another turret goes down for Cloud9. They get. Oh, wait a minute, Lustboy! He's going to be going down.
Woo! There's going to be a lot of that this game. Whoever gets caught will die.
Yeah.
There's
They're
so
getting out.
much CC to lock down that
Remember
target.
that crowd control we were talking about?
Meteos hasn't even had to use his ultimate. They have an excess of crowd control right now.
The surplus is real. Here we go on 17 minutes. Cloud9. Meteos able to grab this first dragon on a Santorin gank towards the top side. Now with the team, grabbing number 2 on the exact time, just about 6 minutes later. 2 there, 2 in the realm of turrets as well, and a 2,000 gold lead. All about 2s right now in this second game of C9 versus TSM.
Yep. And honestly, this is Cloud9 just preying on what TSM does each game. They know that TSM has bot and mid lane pressure. So Santorin has only existed on that side of the map where his dual lane and his mid laner is, whereas Meteos has said, all right, you're really good at that game. So he
Right.
is actually going to be the one to camp Dyrus. And instead of killing Dyrus over and over again, he's just trying to be as efficient as possible on that side of the map. Farming his jungle, farming Santorin's jungle, and taking the dragons plus the turret pressure. And because of that,
Yeah.
Cloud9 has been able to pull ahead. They are more efficiently playing the focus one lane game, and since they knew they were never going to run into TSM on that side, since TSM's strategy of being on that one side of the map is so telegraphed, they could kind of take a few risks. Meteos didn't have to buy wards to get that setup going. He could just freely go into that side of the map, and there you go, 2,000 gold lead.
He also, again, is going full damage. Gonna go for that Hex Drinker next, it looks like, with the help of Balls, taking the Aegis onto himself for that magic resistance they're going to be needing for Bjergsen and both Dyrus. Actually, quite a bit of AP coming from that team. So that will help in their situational building. We all know that Meteos loves to just go for full damage. Bjergsen, Balls in the bottom lane, back and forth on that turret. I don't think they're going to be doing too much damage to each other, or the turret for that matter, as top gets taken down by Cloud9. They are really starting to move their map control far up into the side of TSM, but this is where it gets tough.
TSM would need some
wards
push
too.
pressure right now. Normally that would be Bjergsen on Zed, but Cho'Gath, while he can be unmovable in lane, is bad at moving lanes. So his turret killing is very suboptimal, whereas Lucian, one of the best turret killers in the game.
Yep, getting those double shots out, making sure. Oh, what a nice depth charge immediately onto Dyrus. He couldn't even reach Sneaky. Maybe if he's Anya's, he would have stayed in place, but that's not a chance.
4 turrets to 1 here for Cloud9, really winning the pressure game here against TSM. And the actual turret pushes that TSM have are few and far between. They need the team fights, but they're getting beaten in the push game.
See what happens. Bottom lane needs to be pushed up. It's something Team Solomid could probably get and get a little bit of gold to the team. That top turret is the only thing they've been able to find going down. And Cloud9, as they move the turrets up, they move the wards up immediately. Everything's working out nicely.
Yeah, look at all the wards Cloud9 has now. Especially if they upgrade another yellow trinket. They will just continue to come back. I'm a big fan of what Cloud9 is doing right here. And I talked a little bit with the other casters about how this could be happening more and more in League of Legends because it has its own strengths and weaknesses. So if you go double yellow trinket and pink wards, you get a cheaper form of vision control and vision denial. You get so many wards. Every 60 seconds, I believe, you get another ward with that greater stealth totem, which is basically like having a sight on all those guys, but for 250 gold. If you think about the total number of wards you get out during the game. But you don't get the sweeper, therefore you buy more pink wards. If you look at the other side, what TSM usually does, double sightstone plus multiple sweepers. It is a more complete form of vision denial because you can also buy pink wards on top of that, but it's substantially more expensive. They had to invest in the sightstones, they have to invest in the green wards since they don't have any green ward droppers, and they have to invest in the pink wards. So basically, if Cloud9 is using their bodies to push back TSM, and they're okay with walking through a few wards, but more concerned with being spotted, or sorry, they're more concerned about spotting TSM. It's the vastly gold-efficient version of vision control, and it's something that Cloud9 does that many teams do not, is the upgraded yellow trinket.
All those upgraded yellow trinkets have been finding their way into the side of Team Solomid. Meteos, one of the big proponents of that. Even if he's not on somebody like Vi that can get around the jungle. Usually we'll see him with LemonNation on Thresh, lanterning him out of scary situations when trying to place those deep wards. So only facilitating himself more to do that on that champion that can hop over walls. Balls now to clean up the bottom lane. Cloud9 knowing that they need to take a breather here, clean this up a bit. They do have power in mid though. If the teleport needs to come in, but they don't have that advantage right now. You gotta be careful.
And it's the turrets that are giving it to him. It's that 5,000 gold game. It's going to be tricky for TSM to come back here because both teams have such great catch potential. It's on TSM to catch Cloud9 before they can group up, which is difficult because Cloud9 has placed so many deep wards into TSM's jungle. It's going to be very tricky for TSM to actually win this one.
Dyrus now going to be forced to be even farther out. He does have one ward for himself here. And the teleport up for the bottom lane. We may see actually a bit of a collapse going towards Bjergsen, or at least that side of the jungle, to make sure there's a wall between these two sets of champions on Team Solomid. I think they're going to notice it as well.
TSM can only play this game for so long because they're going with the more expensive form of vision control, which they need to in order to clear Cloud9's wards and actually get a catch. But if they don't do that, Cloud9 will just continue to pull farther and farther ahead.
Right.
They haven't been able to clear enough of the wards, even with pinks and 3 sweepers plus 1 upgraded sweeper. Oh, jeez. That's a great rupture, though.
High getting caught completely. He didn't even get to do anything through this game. He's probably going to be calling shots for the team now from that death area, but hopefully they can get the right calls for themselves as well. Not a lot of damage to come out of Santorin and Wildturtle. Sneaky's got too many targets, and Cloud9 walked completely into Team Solomid for a fight.
Bjergsen made the play. High was too far up in the lane, did not respect the Cho'Gath engagement range. It had nothing to do with vision control. It just had to do with rupture and silence. Yeah, that's what TSM needed to do, but it was unexpected to happen in that fashion. No vision, the 2.5-second silence coming in huge because High could not ult himself to keep himself alive. Dyrus wasn't even there. He was split pushing a lane when that happened.
Dyrus just wants to play too. He'll be back in the fights.
He teleported in after the rupture play.
Oh no.
So he did end up picking up, the 1 kill.
Well, this really helps. This is going to be an even bigger spike now if they're able to drop the outer turrets. More gold coming in from the fight. And look, he's not a small champion. You can see him coming.
I mean, it was a great rupture by Bjergsen.
Wow. It was. High was like, oh, I'll dodge this and claw out. He's thinking to himself.
Couldn't quite get there.
No.
And then Dyrus did TP in at the end. Picks up the kill on LemonNation. Helps him get back into the game as well because he needs Zhonya's. Oh, man. A pressure move. They know TSM has been so focused on clearing vision from the Dragon, they don't have vision here. Santorin, he's going to see him moving around in there. He just saw him moving around in there. Gotta try and steal.
He goes in.
Desperation.
Oh,
he got
Santorin got the Baron along with the collateral damage from Wildturtle over the wall. Actually, it's just Santorin. There's no assist there to be had. The plays from Santorin to halt Cloud9.
Meteos had that.
In the bag.
He did. At the same time,
you can even capitalize with your team's burst to make sure it's good.
I mean, at the same time, remember yesterday, Meteos stole a dragon from a Nunu.
That's true.
So this is the Smite Gods.
Where's it at? Where's
getting
it at?
revenge on Meteos. 820 gone.
820. He just hit it.
No, like that's not on Meteos.
No.
If it goes from 820 to 0 in a frame, Smite at the moment, even though he's level 12, is only doing 720 damage. If all the damage hit at the same time, like that's not anything.
Santorin literally smited along with a bunch of other damage, luckily. But very well. Very well indeed.
Gotta pick your number.
This is going to be huge for Team Solomid now. They have the waves to be pushing up. Ball's trying to do a little bit of initiation.
If they can actually win a fight, they can take so much out of this. They're even in gold. They were down 5,000 gold, Riv.
It doesn't take very much when you know what to do.
Back. They took the Baron. All started with that one rupture, but honestly, Santorin getting the Smite. The Smite Gods taking vengeance on Meteos for his steal yesterday on a Nunu, which should not happen.
Well, it happened probably 10 minutes earlier. It's just about the same thing we saw from the Counter Logic versus TSM game. One big fight to swing the game back from Team Solomid when they were down. Something they can always find. Dyrus, yeah, that always feels good. You know, it feels
wave clear. He's going to be hitting his Zhonya's Hourglass power spike shortly. Bjergsen is sitting at a huge amount of CDR right now.
There's that
He's
Hourglass.
32.5%. His Morellonomicon and his Glacial Shroud. Plus 316 AP on Cho'Gath. So Cho'Gath becoming very big. Phantom Dancer completed by Wildturtle. They're hitting those item power spikes that they were nowhere close to. So now if they actually get a full team fight that doesn't even start with a catch, they'd have a chance. Which really diminishes Cloud9's ability to bully and get deep wards.
safe enough to have Wildturtle push his top lane quite far out. No wards even towards his top side of the map. Really relying on all the wards in mid right now to see where Cloud9 is from Team Solomid. What a change in the game. You can see some lone wards that Cloud9 placed just dying out at TSM's red. That was just their area a few minutes ago.
Total momentum swing. Everything off of Bjergsen's rupture onto high in the mid lane. It gave TSM the confidence to make those plays. Then Cloud9 tried to get the Baron, which was honestly not that bad of a call. The call was not stopping Baron when Santorin had spotted him. They should have focused him down first. But now, the pressure from TSM and the threat of the initiation, if one of those ruptures lands, there's a chance they follow that up. Oh, Lemon. Oh, buddy.
Little tank on tank. Not going to have much of initiation out of that one. The poke from Dyrus hit pretty good. Not getting too much from anybody else. Some Prey Seekers from Santorin. Not really going to chunk anybody down, though. Here's the damage onto the turret as Cloud9 tried to contest immediately, and it looks like they will. Any bit of fight they can get, they're going to take it.
There's so much anticipation. There's so many spells that could start a fight. I'm just ready for it to happen right away. Normally, it's just the one Lissandra claw. So you're like, all right, oh, here it is. But now it's Lissandra claw. It's a Maokai sapling. It's Vi charging a Vault Breaker. It's Nautilus landing a hook. It's a Rupture. It's Leona. It's everything that can start these fights. And speaking of team fights, this is another game that Cloud9, 3 in a row now, where they've had an early game lead.
Yep.
And it falls away in the mid game. I asked them about this yesterday. I asked LemonNation in the interview post game, why does this keep happening? And he said it's mainly due to their team fight. Cloud9's team fighting is just not as good as it has been in past years. It used to be if Cloud9 had that early game lead, the game was over because they were the best at team fighting. But that's died off here. TSM appears to be the best at team fighting in the North American LCS, and it's showing here.
It's different to see that kind of change, especially from a team that is winning all the time. But you'll hear from teams that when you're winning all the time, if you do start losing, sometimes that's the hardest point to come back in because it's really hard to find where that problem lies. Communication is usually in the fights from high. There's the flash from Meteos. That would have been another catch from Bjergsen's Rupture. They try to get in the side here. Sneaky is way out of position. He's got to be very careful, but he is offering Bjergsen a lot more in the trade back. Dyrus has the Zanyas, uses it with a bit of focus there from Cloud9, so they have to calculate in where they want to go next. He goes down. LemonNation's in with Meteos, but he can't offer too much. Ball's tanking up the back 4 in the line. Wildturtle to the backside, though. Now on to high. That's going to be a double kill. Turtle's going huge as he puts on the shell here with the help of Santorin. Tries to get the true get and quick draw away from the fight, and it will be enough. That's the triple. Looking for the quadra. He gets taken down finally. There's just too much tank to be had. And it looks like Balls will try to chase down Santorin. He'll have the speed shrine buff. The tunnel over the wall, and the fight is over with just Santorin standing.
Those are the kind of team fights we want to see when both these teams bring so much initiation. Two Titans clashing against each other, and that was two good team fighting teams battling. Cloud9 has been struggling in the past. That was a good team fight there by Cloud9. From Sneaky's positioning to the flank that Cloud9 threw in behind, from the very start of it even.
That was scary at first.
Bjergsen is the one who starts this fight. By being in that spot, it's go time. Dyrus tries to zone out the squishy targets from Cloud9. He takes High and Sneaky out of the fight, but Sneaky cannot fall at the very start. And now, it's tank line versus tank line. There's too much going on in this fight to describe exactly the good choices being made, but from an AD carry perspective, Wildturtle remains safe from the flank, which is why Balls had pulled to one side of the fight. He then remains on the backsides at the end of the fight. He understands his damage. He switches targets as soon as something killable comes into the fight, and he maximizes the value in that team fight. Even though he goes down, he maximized that team fight. Both AD carries fed now, both teams still close, and both teams ready to fight again.
TP onto the tunnel of Santorin. Dyrus will not be able to get himself in. His flash is down, so a bit of initiation there. Looks like Zanya's, or at least his Zanya, is up, and all the other actives are ready for the next fight. I am loving this game right now. 8-6, 500 gold separates these two teams. TSM is still clawing back into this one. Cloud9's found a little bit more ground now. They're back out on the map after being pushed into their own turrets here, but neither team giving up and has a very good chance to still take this game on either side.
And I think the
Lustboy!
fight.
Oh no! After all that, you have to be kidding. That's what starts off the next fight, and TSM, they can't contest this. They may be able to contest the Baron, but
it is just the Leona.
Cloud9 wouldn't go.
The key to these fights will be AD carry lockdown, and they fight Wildturtle.
Is it enough chase, though? The anchor toss hits him! What a throw from LemonNation! Dyrus is in, but everybody says, we have to leave you out to dry. TSM leaves him. Santorin and Bjergsen now running back. Maybe they can get some ruptures over the wall. Maybe Santorin with another Godsteal here. It's going to have to be something.
Cloud9 learned their lesson last fight, kill Wildturtle. There are so many things that can click on him and kill him, and they used them this fight. Nautilus ult at the start when they were killing Lustboy, Viol next, and then they just kept clicking on him. So they finished him off pretty easily. No Baron steal this time. Santorin instead tries to trade for the Dragon. He will be able to do that, but Cloud9, I'd say, is back in control.
Little wishy-washy. Some things not meant to happen, but they have pulled it back into their favor. TSM is playing one hell of a game of defense here, and this is really the only thing that's causing this game to go either way, is big mistakes.
The Baron was up. Lustboy should have been behind, should have been closer to Bjergsen. Then when they jumped on him, they could have landed and comboed into a rupture. And then here, TSM really overstaying. Wildturtle doesn't respect the vibe. Absolutely. Max range Vault Breaker into an ult just to close enough, and the perfect anchor toss there from LemonNation seals the deal. Dyrus tried to protect, but they needed to turn tail and run away. Ends up just giving them another kill.
See where they decide to go. We won't get much split pushing out of this game with the death balls running around here. So right up the middle, may the train go here from Cloud9. See if TSM can stop it in the tracks. 33 minutes in, we're going to start going into the late game on this one. We'll get some more item spikes coming out. Another, actually, Abyssal Scepter that's been built out throughout time here, along with the Frozen Heart on Bjergsen, so he can help resist a bit of this high damage and Balls.
Yeah, I mean, Balls is so fed right now.
Big
505 Maokai. That is the result of repeated ganks from Meteos and TSM not focusing on enemy top laner control, as well as giving Balls his most favored pick.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can say that Rumble is his favorite champion, but his most effective champion recently is Maokai. And it fits with Cloud9's ability to target select and go. They have it all in this team. Cloud9, this is as close to an ideal team comp they can get this year as possible. A lot of control, damage dealers on their top performing members, Meteos and Sneaky. And now they have a Baron buff. And high on control initiator.
On somebody that can go in, something he's been verbal about wanting to do on his champions. And Lissandra, she can go in. Another turret goes down. It's just the bottom one here. And C9, with what wave control they've had here, are able to go for it right away. They don't have too much control towards the top side of the map, but the fun will be down here for the next few minutes, especially up towards the inhibitor.
Nice rupture, but you can see with all the magic resist now and no Void Staff onto Bjergsen, or really any magic penetration outside of Abyssal Scepter, it's not threatening rupture anymore. This actually just makes TSM's damage dealers one. They have one real damage dealer, a one threat comp. It's Wildturtle, and that's just not enough when Cloud9 has so many things they can click on. If
that minion.
I'm wondering if Balls just decides to dive the turret straight away.
A lot of level 17s here. And it looks like they're going to hold off for just a second on the side of Team Solomid. So Cloud9 get what they want. The last turret of the game that is outside of the base of Team Solomid here. And from here, it might actually be difficult once they approach the inhibitor turrets.
Of course, you have to remind everyone a Cloud9 win here puts them at 12 wins on the year, meaning if COG loses at the end of the day, that would force a tie for second place. And that all-important first round bye. Santorin. Mobile little void monster there.
All right, Dyrus going to get a push out on top lane. Teleports up. This is going to be nice. Ta-da! All right. See how far he goes after this. He's not going to have vision of any minions. Looking at his wave line, you can tell where the one coming at him is, and he knows it's too far to pursue. Heads back into the jungle with the rest of his team. What would be the easiest route now for Cloud9 to approach the next inhibitor? Is it going to be one of the outside ones, or do they just drive straight up the middle?
It's really tricky, actually, because they have no Baron buff.
All right.
And for as tanky as Balls' Maokai is, Nexus turrets and inhibitor turrets don't care. They have over 80% armor and magic penetration to just crush anyone who tries to dive them. Therefore, Kennen has to wait on the next Baron at least. Maybe even do a banner command minion, so Graves is the only one that can kill it. But they have no one that can build that item, so scratch that. Then you're thinking your other plan is 5 dragons. Well, they only have 2 dragons. It would be 18 minutes. Well, 13 minutes until they get another dragon, but that's 50 minutes in before they can get 5 dragons. So the hope is that they ward up the jungle and catch TSM while trying to get one of these objectives. But all the while they're doing that, TSM has just as much catch too. So Cloud9 has to be very careful because with the mid lane turret penetration that TSM has being down to really the only inhibitor defending turret, TSM is just as in this game as Cloud9 is. Cloud9 has the pressure edge, and if they meet the 5v5 that is clean, Cloud9 will win. But TSM still has a ton of catch potential, and they know the win conditions of Cloud9 are so far away.
Even more so, the Righteous Glories now for either team, which work funnily without any extra speed ups, because if you use it at one team and you want to get away, it's not going to work if you're not running at the teammate. Or your opponents, I should say.
Everybody go in.
Everybody's got to go in. Also see the elixirs coming out for both sides as well.
Which is probably the real win condition for Cloud9 here, is catching TSM trying to also win. Because if TSM just farms this one out, it goes at least 50 minutes.
The win condition is win. Sneaky has built himself a Blade of the Rune King to try and chew through Bjergsen here. Maybe have sold his boots to do so as he's on level 1s there.
Yeah, he's never upgraded his boots this whole game. He's just trying to get to big item thresholds. Once again, not enough damage. Bjergsen trying to go in.
He gets locked down. Bjergsen's going to get hit here. He still has a bit of resistances, so it takes them a little bit. Dyrus, can he even get the ult off? The Zhonya's goes off, but it's not even enough crowd control for everybody to follow up. That's the big deal. There's no follow-up for TSM there. It was for Cloud9.
TSM was not strong enough to deal with a full 5v5 team fight, and Dyrus wasn't even there.
Nope.
Bjergsen gets bursted down after he lands a Rupture. Dyrus gets ulted by Vi before he can make it in for a team fight, and now Cloud9 look to take inhibitors, maybe the game.
That was High's payback onto Bjergsen for the last mid fight where he caught him on the Rupture silence. A little bit of his own medicine there to take him down. Still, just about 20 seconds on these timers, Jatt. They could make a dent on the base here.
Yeah, I think they can end it right here. They go for Wildturtle. Oh, so far back.
He stays out of the Fountain Laser. Will he still be able to get the kill? He will not. Healing up with the home guards on. Actually, no home guards for Turtle right now. He just bought them, but it's a little, too late, and it's going to be Cloud9 taking down Team Solomid.
Wow, Cloud9 keeps their dreams of a playoff bye alive.
Hot damn.
Amazing to
think.
Game. Cloud9 has struggled so heavily this split, at least that's what it looks like from the outside. But that's because perfection is the only acceptable result for Cloud9 in the North American LCS. They are still 12-6. They win 2/3 of their matches in this league. And because of that, it is still possible for them to finish the regular season in second place, only one game back.
Oh, the bye means so much. So much. Very happy with that game. Probably not the mid phase. We saw TSM showing a lot of those bright spots that they show every game when they're behind, that they can come back, that it's still going to be hard to take them down. And sometimes TSM do that in a way where they can sit back and figure out what you're doing and then just turn it against you. Here, both teams were kind of always forced into making it right and fixing it.
And a couple things went wrong for TSM that game. One, Dyrus fell back in that game pretty heavily. That was because of Cloud9's focus.
Yeah.
But then, Bjergsen on Cho'Gath, building the Frozen Heart instead of a Death Cap to reduce his damage and not building any real magic penetration, turned him into utility champion, which would mean they need a second damage threat, and that would have to be Dyrus. But they didn't strategize their game to make Dyrus a second damage threat. Therefore, Wildturtle was the only one that could do damage. Cloud9 had enough single target CC that they could just click on Wildturtle and take him out of fights, and TSM ended up with a one-threat team against a bunch of divers. That is never going to work.
Something that was good for Kiwi.
What are you doing here, man? He's like, I want to set up.
Good job. I just want to say good job, man. Yeah, support love. Hugging everybody this week. Hi, it was good to see being the shot caller, having a lot of stress on him lately, and pretty much being the one that, like, for lack of a better word, to throw the middle part of that game with getting caught, to still be able to come back, still be able to make plays, and actually make the pivotal play that caught Bjergsen out there.
Yeah, that was a game where Cloud9 had a 5,000 goal lead in the mid-game, lost it, and then came back again with more strong team fight play. So it's kind of a, you take your wins with your losses in that one. They showed some really nice comeback mechanisms. They proved to themselves that they can team fight, but they also showed that they're still not the Cloud9 they want to be. They threw a lead. That can't happen if they want to make it to their eventual goal of even winning North American LCS, making it to MSI. Those things are all still possibilities for them, especially if they can beat the #1 team in North America.
Well, it seems like what they did, especially with banning Zed on their own side, did pay off in Champion Select there. Bit of a mind game of their own. So for more on that match, let's throw it over to